Hi folks, and welcome to Attica Armory. Today we're going to discuss how to pick the right size handgun for your needs. If you've been a gun owner for a while and you kind of already know what you're doing, please share this gun sizing guide video with a new shooter in your life. We'll discuss a variety of defensive handgun sizes ranging from full-size duty pistols down to tiny little pocket guns and everything in between. We'll tell you the pros and cons of the various size categories and hopefully help you make a more informed decision on choosing the right size gun for your given purpose. Before we begin, please remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to leave us a comment on what size gun you picked and why you picked it. We'd love to hear from you. And remember to check out our citrus-powered synthetic CLP at ATTRIBUTIONS.com. Now, let's get to it. So first off, no matter what your girlfriend in college told you to make you feel better, size does matter, but it also matters how you use it. So choosing the right size gun and learning how to use it is an essential part of being a responsible and successful gun owner. Now, there are very few hard and fast rules when it comes to shopping for guns, but here are some guidelines that can help. Number one, don't pick a gun for someone else. Let the person pick their own gun. Even if they are a beginner and you are an expert. If you're helping, just remember to guide somebody, but don't dictate. Number two, don't let someone else pick a gun for you, even if they are an expert and you are a beginner. Picking a gun is kind of like choosing underwear. You should have some say in it. 3, don't make assumptions about gender-related preferences. My wife hated most of the stereotypical girl guns that she ever tried. 4, don't assume that a bigger gun is harder to shoot. On the contrary, some of the most challenging guns to operate and shoot well with are very small guns. Now, before we dive too deep into the individual categories, there are a couple of caveats, as the legendary Paul Harrell would say. First, you will see that I'm using a lot of Glocks as examples. And while I do like Glocks, this is not a promotion for Glock. These are just examples to demonstrate the size category. So just remember, this is a sizing guide, and there's a lot of great guns out there to choose from. And second, you'll notice that the behemoth hand cannon category is omitted from this video. When I say hand cannons, I'm referring to massive revolvers like the 460 or 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, the 454 Casull, the 500 Lineball, or even a Desert Eagle and 50 AE. The reason being is that I can't in good faith recommend getting a very large and very powerful gun as your first or even second handgun unless you plan on using it for hunting or you know that it's basically just a novelty item going in. So our first legit self-defense category is the full-size duty pistol. This gun is a Glock Model 20 chambered in 10mm auto, which is a reasonably powerful round. However, the size is still comparable to what you might see your local law enforcement officers carrying on their hip. This is about the upper end of the size and power spectrum that I would consider for regular defensive use in a populated area. The pros of a full-size duty pistol are a full-size grip to hold on to. You get a bit more mass to absorb the recoil. You also have a longer sight radius with big full-size combat sights and plenty of room for accessories if you want to put them on there. It's also chambered in a full-size duty cartridge with a full-length barrel, so you get quite a bit of firepower. And generally speaking, unless you live in states with magazine restrictions, you get a higher standard ammo capacity than smaller guns. The cons of a full-size duty pistol are that it's difficult to conceal, especially in warm weather. It's also considerably less comfortable to carry concealed. You will definitely know that this thing is on your waist. Also, if you do live in a state with magazine restrictions, let's say you can only get a 10-round mag for this, it sort of almost defeats the purpose of having a gun this big if you can only have a restricted magazine capacity. And of course, if you've got really small hands, something like this Glock Model 20 might feel like a 2x4 in your hands. For me, I've got pretty big hands and this thing feels perfectly comfortable, but of course, it all depends on your personal geometry. With that, a full-size duty pistol is a great choice for professional duty duty, open carry, home defense, target practice, match shooting, a backwoods hiking gun, or even limited concealed carry during colder seasons. However, the size and weight makes it less than ideal as a year-round, everyday concealed carry gun for places that have a real summer. Our next size category is the compact. A compact handgun is generally just a truncated version of its bigger brother. In this case, the Glock 19, chambered in 9x19mm, is basically the same as a full-size Glock Model 17, but with a shortened grip frame, barrel, and slide. Similarly, in the world of 1911 pistols, you've got the full-size government model with the 5-inch barrel and the full-size frame versus the smaller commander and officer variants of what is essentially the same gun. The pros of a compact pistol are that you still got a pretty decent grip size and you've still got a pretty decent sight radius with nice big combat sights and still some room for accessories if you want to add a light and a laser. You also still have a pretty decent magazine capacity. I mean, I'm only losing 2 rounds in this magazine, so 15 rounds in this mag compared to 17 rounds in the bigger Glock Model 17. And the compact is definitely much easier to conceal and carry compared to something bigger like the previous firearm that I showed you. It's also still chambered in a full-size duty cartridge. And a lot of guns from various different manufacturers will still be compatible with bigger, full-size extended magazines. So this one will essentially take a 17-round Glock 17 mag. It can also take up to the 33-round stick mag. So you've still got that upwards magazine compatibility. The cons of the compact pistol are that, you've got that slightly diminished ammo capacity, slightly shorter barrel length. So, realistically, you've got a bit less firepower, but it's still quite a bit. So I'm not sure if that really matters to you or not. That's just one of the trade-offs. So you also have less mass as well as a shorter sight radius and a smaller grip size. So that might make this gun a little bit more difficult to shoot. Again, it's probably a negligible amount between the full size and the compact, but it is there, it exists. And of course, this Glock Model 19 is still a bit big for hot weather carry. You definitely would not feel comfortable with something like this in a pocket. And it'll probably print quite a bit if you just have a t-shirt hanging over it. With that, the compact size is a great all-around contender for just about everything, ranging from a professional duty sidearm for law enforcement and military use to home defense, cold weather concealed carry, open carry, or just target practice and fun shoots at the range. The compact size group might just be the most versatile of them all. The next category that we're going to look at is the subcompact category. Many subcompact guns, including this Glock Model 26 chambered in 9x19mm, are also based on some derivative of a full-size duty pistol. Again, these are further truncated in the frame, the barrel, and the slide while maintaining most of the internal geometries and parts. The pros of a subcompact pistol are that it's lightweight and reduced size means that it's much easier to conceal and to carry year-round. Of course, it's still going to be compatible with these nice full-size sights. You can put some decent night sights on there. It's also still chambered in a full-size duty cartridge, and it still has a pretty reasonable capacity for its size. This one's got a little +2 extension on there, so that's 12 rounds in the magazine and 1 in the pipe. 13 rounds in a pretty small package is really not bad at all. And of course, something like this is still compatible with the longer extended magazine sizes for the double stack Glock mags. The cons of the subcompact pistol are, again, you've kind of got this reduced shootability situation. You've got a shorter sight radius, you've got a shorter grip, and you've got less mass. With that, you also have reduced ammo capacity, you've got a reduced barrel length, so firepower continues to go down as you move down the spectrum. And one thing that I have noticed is that these tend to get a little bit harder to draw from concealment because you just have a little bit less to hold on to. While we're discussing subcompact sizes, it's a good time to note that snub-nosed revolvers seem to fit into this size group. This Smith & Wesson Model 637 5-shot 38 Special is pretty similar in size to the Glock 26, though the Smith & Wesson is much lighter and quite a bit slimmer in some areas, making it substantially actually more comfortable for pocket carry. A subcompact is a great choice when the primary purpose is concealed carry without the desire to drop into the subcalibers. It gives you full power duty cartridges in a package that won't drop your pants like a bad 90s rap video. Our next category falls somewhere in the neither region between a subcompact and a micro/mouse gun. I'm not sure that the industry really has a name for it, but we'll just call it a bridge gun for simplicity, since it sort of bridges the gap between the small and the microscopic. These are usually single stack magazines with even shorter frames, slides, and barrels, and they're usually very lightweight. They're small enough to pocket carry, but they're still big enough to have decent sights and to shoot well with. These include this Glock 42 chambered in 380 ACP, as well as a whole slew of other options. The pros of a bridge gun are that it's very easy to conceal and carry. You've got the ability to pocket carry something like this in warm weather. It can still be chambered in a full-size duty cartridge like a 9x19mm if you want to. There's quite a few guns that are close to this size that are chambered in 9mm. Of course, you can add some decent night sights to something like this, and it's still somewhat shootable. You know, it's not miserably difficult to shoot. The cons of a bridge gun are that if you do get it chambered in a full-size duty cartridge like a 9mm, you really are kind of looking at some pretty snappy and annoying recoil in a gun this small. Also, smaller guns can be a bit more sensitive to poor form. Now, we did make a full video on something called limp wrist failures, and I'll make sure and leave you a link to that so you can check it out and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And of course, you know, as you get less mass, smaller dimensions, it just makes it a little bit harder to shoot than the bigger guns. That said, bridge guns are a great choice for people who want a concealed carry gun that still packs a decent punch but is slender and light enough to really comfortably disappear on your body. My wife loves the Glock 42. It's light and slim enough to actually carry well with her sport leggings, and that's a pretty tall order. However, it's still easy to shoot and it packs enough of a punch to do the job. And that leads us to our final size category, the micro pistol category. Folks sometimes call these mouse guns, deep concealment guns, or just pocket pistols. Call them what you want. These are wee little minuscule guns that are extremely easy to carry, but are generally not fun to shoot and can be challenging to make good hits on anything beyond spitting distance. But don't let the diminutive package fool you. These will do the job just fine with a well-placed shot. The pros of a micro pistol are really pretty straightforward. It's tiny. It's going to be the easiest and most comfortable to conceal and carry. And of course, you're going to have the widest variety of concealment options. I mean, you can stash one of these just about anywhere. But that's really about where it ends with the pros. The cons of a micro pistol are really the tiny dimensions leave very little space to kind of hold on to, especially for big hands. Then of course you have these tiny machined on sights that can't be upgraded. They're very small. They're very, they're not easy to distinguish in the dark. And, you've got a very short sight radius, so the sights are not great. Then you've got the lower magazine capacity. Usually these are just single stacks, maybe 6 or 7 rounds tops, and they're generally chambered in a sub-caliber like 22 long rifle, 25, 32, or 380 ACP. So the low capacity combined with the sub-caliber and the short barrel means substantially less firepower. And really the bottom line is that they tend to, especially up in the 380 range, they tend to have some pretty snappy recoil and they're not a whole lot of fun to shoot. Now don't get me wrong, I love micro pistols and I use them for certain situations. Micro pistols are a solid option for hot weather pocket carry. They're also a top choice for athletes and runners who need an ultralight weapon for less obstruction. These make excellent backup guns as the small size and low weight won't load you down. Of course, they are somewhat limited in their capabilities, so it might be a little bit better to avoid one of these as your first gun or as a primary weapon. And with that, we hope this video was helpful for you in your quest to find the right handgun. So have fun, stay safe, and we'll see you again next time at Attaga Armory.